What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Diet Starts Monday podcast. This morning, we're in beautiful Clapham Common. It's sunny, it's 3 degrees. But today, we have a special guest, David van Wetherill. You! Welcome to the Diet Starts Monday podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining. We finally got there. I know we've been trying to have this episode for a while, and the sun is out for us, which is incredible. Now, I want to tell you, it's a marathon series that I'm doing now, and you hold a world record in the marathon race.
Which is mad to say.
Crazy.
Out loud, yeah.
But I absolutely love it. So, fastest marathon on Crutches, London Marathon 2025.
Yes.
Talk to me a little bit about that race.
So, I mean, just like I said just then, just saying it out loud is mad. Given my disability, given the fact that I walk on crutches, given the fact that I can hardly get up in the morning, some days, today included. But yeah, that kind of marathon world record project, shall we call it?
Yeah.
Last year, it grew legs from, I don't know, just taking one step after another. Like my rehab journey from hip replacements and all sorts of surgery started with like running 5Ks, 10Ks. Building it up. I never dreamt I could do a marathon, let alone the fastest ever marathon on crutches. So.
What was the fastest before that?
So I think it was 6 hours 11.
And you did a sub 6.
I did 5 hours 59.
Which was so cool to get that sub 6. Because everyone in the running industry these days, it's sub 330, sub 325, sub 3.
It's almost like double for me, but yeah. So
sub 6 has a nice ring to it.
That last 5K was, I don't know, I always think, I would say it's never about the time for me. I mean, it is about the time, but not about the time. The time's an unbelievable motivator to like keep going and, you know, just the accountability, because the whole of that race for me was like, I didn't want to like fail by a second, like because I knew I could have squeezed an extra second out of somewhere. Yeah. So that accountability was, especially that last like 5K, it's unbelievably painful. Like obviously there's a limit to what's good pain and what's bad pain for my disability, which is a very arthritic joint condition. So,
well, why don't you tell the listeners what your disability and condition is?
Yeah. So I was born with a condition called multiple epiphyseal dysplasia, which, I mean, in medical terms, the epiphyses are the growing ends of your bones, so your growth plates. So for me, like ossification and the process of like bone growth is defected in my condition. So, my bones don't grow properly. All of my joints are misshapen. So yeah, it just basically results in limited mobility, a lot of joint pain, a lot of grinding.
So you said you were born with it. So when did you start to realize that you might have been like different to other people?
So I wasn't actually diagnosed. They thought I had achondroplasia initially, so dwarfism. Okay. Because obviously I wasn't growing at the rate that I've got an older brother who's only a year older than me, so he's like insanely tall. Yeah. Insanely, obviously I saw it when I was younger. He was insanely strong, faster than me, and I was like, why can't I do what he's doing? Okay. And I don't think you always need an explanation in life, but it definitely helped to almost have validation and acceptance over why can't I do these things? Yeah. In terms of mentally overcoming those hurdles, and that's a lot to go through as a young kid. So absolutely. I was only 6 when I had my diagnosis. Wow. So I wasn't really fully aware of everything. I knew I wasn't like normal, quote unquote. But yeah, having an older brother who was obviously much stronger and faster than me definitely gave me a little bit of a chip on my shoulder to prove myself. And
I was going to say that gave you motivation to get out there. And if he wasn't there and you didn't have that sort of leading body next to you, that life might have been a little bit different. Yeah,
I think just growing up with a disability, and it shapes your ethos and your psychology and your I always say it's shaped me more than anything really. And having an older brother, obviously he's helped with my motivation and my parents as well. Like obviously I've got a lot to them to thank. They never treated me any differently and always encouraged me to push my limits and do everything that I can do rather than focus on things that I can't do. So I mean, we can fast forward a little bit in terms of I actually broke my leg playing football when I was 10, which was, I mean, I always think, you know, without swearing, like
you can swear.
Things happen in life, you know.
So
it's a bit rubbish, you know. It's shit sometimes. Like life can be shit.
You say you're playing football, but were you playing what football?
So just in school,
with normal other.
Yeah,
right.
So I always like to think I was quite good at football. Obviously, everyone, you know, you hear the old famous, "Oh, I could have been a footballer one day."
Now they're all personal coaches or life coaches.
I know, but yeah, just in the school playground, I was a bit of a hero because the air ambulance helicopter landed on the school pitch, which everyone thought was like insanely cool. But there's me like lying in a heap.
Were you in like serious pain as well?
Yeah, so my femur like completely snapped, and which is why it's kind of, I know I've got my trousers on today, but like it's very wonky because it snapped, overlapped, kind of because of my bone condition, grew back wonky, and then stunted the growth. It's obviously a lot shorter than my right leg now. A lot of good things have come from that, really, in terms of my Paralympic career.
So how did that start? Let's move into your sort of endurance athletic career. You say it started at the Paralympics, but that was with table tennis.
My dad used to play table tennis.
Okay.
He was an all right standard, but he used to. I used to think he was God, like at table tennis, like. But there's, you know, younger me was like, I want to play football. I didn't want to play table tennis, but when I obviously couldn't play football anymore, started playing table tennis initially as a bit of rehabilitation and loved it. And like obviously having my dad who was coaching to a reasonable standard helped and showed an element of proficiency, shall we say, without blowing my own trumpet too much. But you definitely enjoy things that you're good at more, don't you? So it definitely fed my passion for getting better at just playing table tennis.
Sport,
I think just that, having that ethos and that kind of philosophy of wanting to improve every day. Table tennis was just, you know, a platform for that, and all the fitness elements that came with it, like trying to get faster, stronger, better at, you know, moving around the table.
So does that sport take quite a lot of physical as well?
Yeah, I think table tennis can go very underappreciated sometimes. I spoke to some of the Elite 15 Hyrox and some of the like your sub 3 marathon runners that you're speaking about. Sometimes they're like, oh, it's just a bit of ping pong sometimes. But now looking back, I'm like, come on guys, like, you know what training it takes to do a sub 3 marathon or a sub even less, like lower than that, like world class athletes. You can't like downgrade the effort that it takes to become world class at
absolutely,
you know, and the 4-year cycles that I did I kind of did in the end. I went to Beijing, I went to London, I went to Rio, qualified for Tokyo. You know, I did 4 or 5 Olympic cycles for table tennis. I got to a level which I'm so proud of. And then these guys, oh, I've done a sub 3 marathon. Oh, yeah, I could beat you at table tennis, right? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, like table tennis was my passion, my reason to get up in the morning, my reason to push through the pain of my disability.
Yeah, I love that.
And then fast forwarding again a little bit, when my hips got really bad, the twisting motion and the grinding and needing,
a bit of wear down a bit.
It's a very common injury for tables, well, and tennis. Like, you know, I'm like a poor man's Andy Murray in that respect. I don't know if you know who Andy Murray is.
I do, yeah.
So
super successful British tennis player.
I was a bit lost a few years ago when I came out of table tennis, but that's what leads me on to my running journey, I suppose.
Well, that's why it's so important, and what I'm learning now is to consistently set those goals and something to chase, something to wake you up in the morning, like you say. And then I love how that passion and drive for the table tennis has brought you now into this endurance set. Yeah. So tell me where that started. When did you wake up in the morning and say,
Started on a Monday, mate. Diet starts Monday.
I love that.
No, it's, I remember being in hospital. I couldn't walk for about a year around Tokyo 2020. So the COVID year was almost a nail in the coffin for my table tennis career.
Right.
Qualified for Tokyo in 2019, 2020. And then obviously the year postponement, if you remember.
Yeah.
In that year, my hips got so bad. I was in the peak condition 2020. 2021 came around. And
is that because of the lack of movement?
No, I think it probably because I hit it too much in lockdown.
Okay.
I was nailing the phys every day, in denial, like trying to be in peak shape for the biggest competition of my life.
And
yeah, maybe lying around on the sofa all day, every day might have been better for me.
Oh, really?
in a weird kind of way. But yeah, no. And that year afterwards, I couldn't walk. I didn't walk, I don't think. I was just like, my hips were dislocating every time I stood up, and unbelievably painful. And obviously I was still trying to do phys, but I had my hip replaced in 2021, and I remember lying in hospital just being so depressed and like so down. Like, I didn't think I was depressed at the time, but obviously looking back now, I was like, man, I was in a bad way. And
well, depression and anxiety can be like that. You don't really understand the spiral you're in until you really accept it, and then speak to someone that might be in the know, and then once you realize what they're saying is what's going through your head, you start to pick it up.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that's the first rule of all disability, all of life, really. Just accepting the situation that you're in, because you can only deal with it and solutionize and troubleshoot your issues once you fully accept them.
You speak a lot about stoicism, and that's really accepting what your fate is and not accepting what you can't control.
Absolutely. But it's very hard when you're in the motion of things. I get that, because I've been there. I know now that if this situation happens again, like, there's always a way of scraping that barrel. And for me, it's like the light at the end of the tunnel was, right, I'm going to get back to, I was always very proud of being like the fittest table tennis player there is, or there was. I'm going to get back to that machine, like, because it's more than just winning medals, isn't it? It's what you represent. It's what your morals, your values, everything. And I'd lost it all. So I was like, I'm going to do a marathon.
So is that how you said, right, I'm going to flip the switch, I'm going to do a marathon?
Yeah, not initially. I think it grew legs very quickly. Well, I wanted to climb Snowdon. I wanted to do some of the things that I'd done previously that I thought were cool. And I just missed doing it. Like, I wish I could do that again, man. Like, I wish I could do a park run on a Saturday morning. So initially it was just doing a 5K, and then realised, you get stronger. But I do think if you look to the top of the mountain, at the very bottom, it seems so magnanimously massive and overroaring, and you just got to chunk it down sometimes and have these small intermediary goals that just keep you motivated. Same as running a marathon, like, keep on pace for this 5K or this next K, or when you think, oh crikey, halfway, I've still got to do that all over again now. Like, you can get a bit demoralizing, can't it?
So when you're in those positions, like, and you're in the struggles and you're in the pits, where do you go to motivate yourself? Do you go like, fuck it, Dave, come on? Or do you sort of use gratitude?
Yeah, I think I've spoke lots about, obviously, stoicism, amor fati, loving your fate, memento mori, making the most of every opportunity. Time is precious. Because there's going to be a time where we're all of us are slowly getting more and more disabled, right? Like, we're all eventually not going to be able to run. Like,
absolutely.
So why wouldn't we just have gratitude for the present moment and get after it? So
is that what proceeds through your head when you 32K into the marathon? Not
necessarily. They're little triggers that I can call upon if I'm struggling. But I think, I think part of the overcoming is realizing that those moments are going to come. They're inevitable. You're going to hit the wall. You're going to hit an incredible pain barrier. You're going to hit wall after wall. How many walls can you hit? Like, I don't know. I don't think is there a limit to them?
No, I mean, you can hit a wall without nutrition. You can hit a wall anytime, any run. So I think it's just recognizing your thoughts, keep training yourself to have a relationship with your own brain. Because there's almost two sides to your own self. There's that person who pushes through, and there's that annoying little pesky passenger driver who's always there nagging at you with the negative self-talk and the voices in your head. And I think if you can nip them in the bud and recognize them, as soon as possible, you can stop that negative spiral. Such an important message, but so difficult to do. And it comes down to getting up 6:30 in the morning when it's 3 degrees outside and going for that training run. Because like you say, that little voice is like, just sleep in. You don't need it today.
But you sometimes don't even realize, well, for me, it's a he. Like, I've almost named, I feel like a powerful bit of psychology that I use is like naming my negative self. I don't even want to say negative because it's normal. Like, unhelpful self is probably a better way of putting it. Helpful thoughts, unhelpful thoughts, and tapping into the helpful ones and almost using the unhelpful ones as a positive. Because I call him Stephen. Stephen Ruglin, it came from, struggling. Mr. Stephen.
I love that.
So in a marathon, I'm like, here he is. Come on, lad.
Steve. Yeah, come sit down.
Yeah, it's like putting an arm around him and say, we got this, mate. And I've spoken a lot about that before, and I just think making things tangible in your brain in a moment where you are very emotional and you are very pain-ridden is, you can make sense of it a little bit easier if you just make it a little bit more real in your head.
How much physical pain are you going through in these races compared to someone like myself?
So, do you know what? That's a question that I'd love to know the answer to. Relative pain or relative terms. Like, I don't think I can ever
relate. I don't know, because you don't know what kind of.
Without meaning to sound weird, if I could put you in my body right now, how much pain would you be in?
Yeah.
And I think it's something I learned to let go of when I was playing table tennis when I was growing up. Like, comparing myself to my older brother. Like, comparison is the thief of joy. Like, how good would I be if I was a able-bodied table tennis player? Would I be Olympic champion? Like, I was top. Again, I shouldn't compare, but I was, practice partner for some of the top Olympic guys. I've played with some of the best players in the world. I could never compete at that level because I couldn't move as quick as them. But in terms of technical ability,
you were there.
Yeah, which is, again, maybe why I got a little chip on my shoulder about, like, elite athletes now disrespecting the game of table tennis. But more from a Paralympic point of view, I'm proud that, I've shown what Paralympians can achieve. And it's all relative. I know it's normal. I get it. It's all relative to Olympic level and yada yada yada. And I do feel like letting go of that comparison and letting go of things like relative pain is almost a pointless exercise. And well,
the reason why I asked is because I looked at your Ironman video. So you obviously attempted a full Ironman, and you said that it was more mentally challenging than it was physical.
Yeah, I think everything is mental, isn't it? Would you agree?
I mean, for sure. But like Jamie put it the other day, he said you can't rock up mentally strong if you haven't physically prepared. But you can absolutely ruin your race if you're physically prepared, but you're mentally not ready for it.
Namaste. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think you have to train your mental responses. You have to be in difficult situations. You have to know how you react. How I react will be completely different to how you might react. My mental kind of. There we go. We're moving quick pace, mate.
Good lap.
Yeah. I think it's like comes back to having a relationship with yourself again. For me, I know that I can push through extraordinary amounts of pain, which in a perverse kind of way gives me an unbelievable amount of confidence and a bit of a scary kind of, dogs don't like crutches sometimes. It's weird. My four-legged friends.
Hello.
But I know I could bend myself.
Do you think you got that advantage because you've had to struggle mentally with your disability throughout life?
Yeah, it's definitely a strong because of it, not despite it kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think anyone who's had any struggle in life and overcome it, like, respect, man. Like, it shapes you. It makes you strong. Like, you have to go through these things. Mental strength is not a fluke.
Absolutely.
You don't just automatically you were born mentally strong.
Yeah.
Aren't you lucky? No, it was absolute hell. It was graft. It was like
every day you had to show up. You don't get a break.
And I don't want to wax lyrical too much about, blowing my own trumpet in that respect. But shall we take a little hop and get run over by some bikes? But no, for sure. I implore anyone to get out there and embrace challenges, embrace the struggle of a marathon, because if anything, it's a good thing. You're going to come out the other side and you're going to be invincible.
So tell me about your training. So you say you're able to put yourself in the pits mentally as much as you can. How close to a marathon do you train for, or when you're doing an Ironman, what sort of distances, or how are you training? So what does your training look like?
In terms of technical kind of training, and I mean, it's probably a bad thing that I am a little bit obsessed with it. It is an obsession because I'm addicted to that feeling of being able to do it. I know the feeling of not being able to do it. So I perhaps do a little bit too much that is, detrimental sometimes to my bones, but not. I feel like there's a line. I like to tickle the line, but I know now when, and definitely not, how far it is to not go over it.
Yeah.
And consistency is the key. So I tend not to do more than a 10K in my training, really.
Okay.
Because anything past that is just
going to be
I'm just going to
diminishing
my
returns.
bones. Yeah.
So that's really interesting that you step out on race day for a 42K, not having done more than 10 prior to that.
But I've trained my whole life like an elite athlete. I'm always like, you'd see this, you'd see that, but a lot has gone into that. And again, like anyone wanting to run a marathon on crutches, like, yes, you can do it. Like, I'm never going to say anyone can't do it. But, you got to put the work in. Like, you got to leave no stone unturned. And,
Do you do a lot of upper body?
Yeah.
Is that a big part of the play?
I mean, again, not wanting to, just from a pure technical point of view, like it is my legs which are the limiting factor still.
Yeah.
I feel like my arms could probably do like a double or a triple marathon. My arms are not really too bad at the end.
Right.
So, just in terms of training, like little and often, consistency.
Yeah.
A lot of strength training, because it's very important for my bone condition as well, muscular stability around my joints. I've found that the fitter that I am in life, then the better it is overall. There are some barriers to pain. There are, your body's always in negotiation with your goals, but I found that red line that I was speaking about is a lot further away.
Yeah.
The fitter I am in life. So you might have to break down a few walls to get there. You might have to push through some elements of bad pain to get there, but once you're on that ladder of progression and being able to do things like run a 5K, then a 10K, like you can't just go and do it immediately.
When you say you fit in life, is that so you're not just necessarily talking about cardiovascular fitness, you're just talking about mental strength, physical strength, how happy you are at home, the whole package?
I mean, mind-body connection is everything, right? Like, I think, I've always got my 4 almost non-negotiables. There's diet, activity, sleep, hydration. If I nail 4 of them, then everything else seems to be absolutely dandy.
Yeah, love that.
I think the mental side of it is, and if you let one of them slip, then, or 1 or 2 slip, then the mental side goes downhill, doesn't
Absolutely. it? So you mentioned diet, so I'd like to stop over and have a little nutrition.
Let's go for it.
Have you had
got the sap?
Yeah, have you had one of these before?
No. Do you know what? I actually haven't, but I've been desperate to try it for a while.
Well, here we go.
Yeah.
We got the sap boys. Nutrition, important.
This is one of your friends, isn't it? This is James.
Yeah.
Class.
Good friend of mine.
Cheers.
Cheers. Have you had breakfast? I haven't, so we're going in sweet.
Very good.
What do you think?
Yeah, very good.
Delicious.
It's I'll let you know in 2 minutes when I get the cheers, man. Yeah.
Okay, so we have had our nutrition. We're feeling good. So talk to me about nutrition quickly in your race. Like, how do you prep and what are you taking on race day? And also just diving further, like your calorie in, calorie out, is that different to me or is it pretty much the same?
I burn a lot of calories, yeah. And I'm quite dependent when I'm going for time on a guide runner. So in the marathon, my partner Rachel, she ran with me and she basically fed me the whole way. I kind of left chief nutritionist to her. So, but I do take on a lot of calories. I like to have a few solids as well. So a few like flapjacks and stuff that I can just eat. Like the energies things that almost dissolve in your mouth. You can just pouch in your cheeks and you don't have to chew so much because chewing is hard.
Yeah. Well, that's what I like. Just
tablets and
this isn't a plug, but these saps they're not a normal gel, it's just maple syrup and salt.
Yeah.
So I struggle with gels so much. I also prefer whole foods. So I did my whole Ironman. I had baby potatoes, I had sandwiches, the whole jaw.
Yeah. Do you strap it all to your handlebars and stuff?
No, I put the baby potatoes in my back.
Yeah.
So to be fair, they did get a bit soggy. But we, halfway through our cycle, you can recollect new bottles.
Yeah.
And I had a 8 sandwich squish with honey in that bag.
Class.
So I just parked off for 2 minutes and had my sandwich. Probably the best sandwich I've ever had.
Do you take painkillers as well?
No.
So I really have to plan my painkiller strategy.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's more of a bigger thing. Well, not more of a bigger thing, but just as big a thing for as nutrition for me.
That's because isn't painkillers bad for you in an endurance race?
Well, I'm like, what's the detrimental effect of not taking them and not taking them? I'm like, I need to bang a few painkillers right now.
Yeah.
Plus, metabolizing them is completely different when you're in the pits of doing loads of fizz. So I feel like it. Yeah. I don't know. Even if it's mental. Yeah. Even if it's placebo.
Placebo, yeah.
But yeah, I do take a lot of anti-inflammatories for the joint protection and all that stuff. But
is there something that you need to be watching with your condition? So while you're running a marathon, say I'm watching my heart rate just because I need to balance it and last the whole race. What are your sort of markers that you're watching? Is there something that if it's going wrong only for you that you need to realize and stop?
I can't always go off feel, because feel is, dependent on the day, dependent on, I know my pacing and I know when I drop off cliffs, and I know even if I'm feeling good and it doesn't feel like I'm going that fast, I know I might be going a bit too fast, because 5k down the road, the impact on my joints would just be, and I can run in different ways as well. So when I do feel a bit of pain in my legs, I can like shorten my cadence, so I can go through my arms a little bit more,
right,
and not stretch out too far on my legs. Right. So up the cadence a little bit, go the same pace, but just run a bit where I'm using my arms a little bit more. Do
you generally go fast or slower when you're doing? Same
pace, just a different way of running. I think. Okay. I mean, if I lean forward a bit more, I can use my chest. Yeah. Lean back and use my triceps. So I'm almost interval training.
Right.
For a marathon, I might, run in a certain way for 5k, run in a different way for a 5k. I don't really put much weight through my left leg at all. Yeah. It's kind of like I always say it's a bit like a stone, a pebble skimming across the water.
You're just kind of gliding it.
So it's just like,
Well, I was interested, the cycling, is that not really tough just with the one leg?
Yeah, but it's all I've ever known, to be honest. Yeah. So it's just normal to me.
But when it knocks this foot, that's not a problem?
Yes, well, yeah, we can talk about that, because I don't actually know anyone else in the world who cycles like me. I know there's amputees who cycle one-legged and yada,
but they actually, some of them clip in. They have a clip in.
I can cycle without clips with one leg. So I use the left heel just to give it a little tap. Right. To bring the other pedal back around.
Okay.
So I get maybe, I don't know how much, I've never force tested it, but on the watt bikes and stuff in the gym, when you can see the pedal distribution, it's 99%, 1%. So I always say it's like 1% back heel.
Okay.
So over a course of 180k for an Ironman, that makes a difference. Yeah.
So what made you stop going to that Ironman? Because I know that you didn't finish. Was it the mental and physical pain was just enough, or did your joints say, listen, this is going to be detrimental for months?
My joints packed in. Okay, I'm not going to make a habit of doing Ironmans, because they absolutely are way over that red line. Yeah. I just want to do it for me.
Yeah, like, to get that one.
Anyone who knows about you need to do something mentally, like being able to tick that off is my dream, right? Like I think, my bones were screaming, but it wasn't that stopped it. It was the fact that I actually did fall over a few times. Okay. I'd never said it at the time. I didn't want to make excuses or kind of Angus was there, our friend behind the camera here.
He was at mine as well.
Yeah, legend. You are like big dog without the face being seen. Anyway, good vantage point as well. Yeah. Big tall man. Anyway, waxing lyrical about you, Angus.
Range of motion.
You can thank me later. It was. I don't think you caught the fallovers, but I fell over 4 times, I think.
Wow, okay. And all on the run, obviously.
Yeah. It's cobbles. There's a lot of cobbles in Copenhagen where I did it. Yeah. And in aid stations particularly, when there's water on the ground, it's like people dabbing down, and it's just so slippy. It was like being on an ice rink, and because I was trying to go for time, I wasn't slowing up really, because I knew I needed to push it. Whereas normally I would probably take it a bit easy.
And when you say going for time, you're going for cut-off time or personal goal time?
No, cut-off time. Yeah. So, to do sub 15 hours is...
Sub 15 hours? So was that cut-off?
15:45 was the cut-off, but
that seems quite short.
Trying to get a bit of banked time, but there's always a drop-off for me. There's always a, it's not really cardio. It's not really fitness, which is my limiting factor. It's
muscular
joints, muscular endurance. So, I mean, if you were to do press-ups as long as you can, which is effectively what I'm doing, you're gonna slow at some point. Your muscular, you know, the cramps are gonna come. You're not gonna just be able to bang them out left, right, and centre like you can in the start of the race. So I almost do need to bank time to some extent.
Absolutely. I mean, even me and my normal Ironman. But I wanted to ask...
all these guys doing negative splits, I always look and I'm like, dream. Imagine if I could do a negative split.
I do love a negative split, to be fair. Because I did a half marathon the other day and nailed the negative split. It's nice because then you start, if you nail it, then you can really push the last 5 kilometers. But I wanted to ask you, because I'm in this mode as well, we talk about Ironmans being the red line. What do you think it is for you mentally to keep chasing the harder challenge?
Climb a mountain, find a bigger mountain. I'm like...
what is that? Do you think that's just built inside? Do you think people, once they do one, they see that it's possible, so they go for another one?
I mean, we're chasing those endorphins, aren't we? Like the highs and the lows, like by association. Like, I think it is addictive, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Insanely addictive. And to know that, like, again, like anyone with a bone condition like mine, with a disability, with a bit of struggle, I just wish everyone in life can feel that feeling at least once in their life. And when you know that feeling, how can you not want to
do it again?
Like, and okay, maybe I'm a little bit of a hypocrite, because I do say that I just want to tick off the Ironman, one and done. Like, I'm not going to make a habit of it, mainly because it's probably, you know, there's an element of, is this actually good for me? And
is there a chance that something detrimental could occur?
But we don't know, do we?
No.
You never know until you try something.
Well, do the doctors not say anything?
Okay, so 2 lines of thought. The ones who wrap you up in cotton wool and, you know, don't do this, limit the impact on your joints. I'd be in a wheelchair if I wouldn't be able to walk if I listened to those guys.
Interesting.
Like,
so have you gone a bit against the grain?
Yeah, but I know my body, like, very intimately, to the point where I know exactly what is good and what is bad. I know exactly where that line is. And you can push over that line every now and then. Like, it's okay, but just not every day. Like, you know, once a year maybe.
So for you, understanding your body is probably the most important factor in this whole journey.
And like I said, I think, well, my surgeon now is actually an ultra runner. So he absolutely gets it. He knows that it is possible, and I never want to profess you should do this, you should do that. There's no shoulds in life, there's massive coulds, but, you know, that's what works for me. And I have an unbelievable, shall we call it a talent, that I've grown to push through certain pain barriers to the point where they're not pain anymore. I don't feel that pain anymore because I've built my fitness to a point where it doesn't even touch the sides. So I'm unbelievably grateful for, like, when I was younger, and like I saw it when I got a little bit out of shape in hospital. Man, that pain was extortionate. Like if
that
you
was early on.
Slip off that cliff or fall off that kind of that feeling, like, it's so hard to get it back. So I do very much have a cross bridges when you get there kind of attitude to life. Because you can never predict certain things. It's very unpredictable, my bone condition. Like, you just have to make the best of whatever happens. And, you know, if I'm expecting my bones to break by doing a certain thing,
then you'll never do it.
Then you'll never do it. Exactly. So it brings its own certain kind of triumph when you kind of overcome something with that kind of in the back of your mind. I know it's a little bit backwards, but yeah.
Well, what would your message be then to people that are struggling to sort of make that jump and get motivated and inspired to, like, do something? You know, because you talk about that feeling that you get and you want people to do it once in their life. Like, what is stopping them from doing it? How do we
just start?
Yeah.
You know, winners always find a way. You'll find a way. Like, it might not be the way that you anticipated. It might not be, you know, you might have to do certain things differently. You might have to accept that, okay, that's not possible, but how is it possible? You don't know until you try it.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know those limits. And I certainly would not have, found a way of cycling or realised that I could actually do a marathon or
without trying.
Yeah, let alone an Ironman. So I still haven't done one, so I can't go out there shouting about it, but I know it's possible now.
Yeah, well, you did a half.
Well, I've done more than a half, mate. Come on.
I mean, like in terms of like a race.
Yeah, I think it wasn't far from the end. So I think it was like 5/6 of an Ironman. We'll take that.
No, I mean,
but yeah, I think that shows me that tells me that it is possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, it's super inspiring what you're doing, and I think the whole path that you're on now with the Hyrox and the endurance, it's become more just for you now. I think you've become someone that people now look up to in the disability space, and I think your message now is a lot bigger. Do you feel that as well?
It's unbelievable motivation for me. I think we can talk about having goals, having sub-3 hour marathon goals. I don't think that's always enough to reach them. Like, you have to have, or I have to have that purpose of why.
Yeah.
Like, what is your why? Like, for me, being able to impact and inspire people, not that I'm calling myself inspiring, I never really see myself like that, but I can see the effect and the impacts I can have on people who are struggling in a marathon, who I can just give them a little lift from being myself. That's an unbelievable privilege, and it's like a perpetual cycle then of motivation where it bounces back to me, where I'm like, I get a lot of motivation myself from that when I am struggling. Because how can I give up? How can I not carry on when that purpose is so strong?
And you've got this body of people that are now watching you and taking inspiration from you. You're the leader of the pack.
I don't know. It's a, what's the word? What's the phrase? It's like, damn, Dave, why do you keep saying all these things? Because it'd be really nice to just lie in bed right now. But but it makes me get up and it keeps me going. I think without that, my bones, feeling like concrete and not being able to unstick them in the mornings would be impossible. Yeah.
Unbelievable. Thank you so much. I wish you all the best on all your fitness journeys. I know you're going to cross that Ironman line one day. Thank you so much for coming on the pod.
Cheers, bro. Appreciate it. Let's have it.
Legend. Thank you all so much for listening. Dave, incredible episode. Like and subscribe, Dice Monday Pod. If you want to check his Instagram handle,
wetherill.para.fit.
Wetherill.para.fit. Check him out on Instagram. Completely unbelievable.
I love the fact that people know me as an athlete.
You're an athlete.
I create stuff. I like my creative side, but it all pins back to being a beast. So
a beast. I love that. So what's the next race?
A few Hyrox, London Marathon.
Right.
We're
London
doing.
Marathon.
Come on, lad. You've got this. And then.
So I'll see you on the start line.
Again, coming back to purpose and why. I raised money for a type 1 diabetes charity, because a few of my very, very close friends are very affected by type 1 diabetes. So I love that it's not connected to me. It's more powerful that it's not connected to me, because it's a very real, I have to do this for my friends, the people that I love. And I think when you're fighting and you're pushing through pain and you're doing these things for someone else, then it's a lot more powerful than doing it for yourself. Because then you otherwise you'd listen to those Mr. Steven in the head. So so type 1 diabetes, breakthrough type 1D. We're trying to find a cure for type 1 diabetes.
Oh wow, okay.
And I could go on loads about my disability and not being able to find a cure for that, but there absolutely is a cure for diabetes. So
we're gonna find it. I'll put all the links down below. Check out his charity and watch him at the London Marathon.